evening we're going to be forging a knife from the spring from an old number 4 Victor steel trap. Now I cut that at a bit of an angle to make it easier to put the point on, because this thinner stock tends to want to fold up on itself if you start with a square end. There we go. Okay, we've got our handle shaped for the most part. Now when I hammer the edge on this, I'm not going to put a counter bend in it because I want a little bit of curve to this blade. So we'll get that done next. That's about what we're going to stop at. Okay, I've got this little knife draw filed and ready to put my maker's mark on it, harden and temper it. You can see I decided to change up the handle profile just a little bit. On this really thin stock like this, it's easy to accidentally bend it as you move it around in the forge. So to help prevent that, I've got it laying on a 1/4 inch thick piece of flat stock that's just kind of acting as a hot plate. After your blade's been quenched and cooled, you can tell if it's hardened properly. Take a good file and run across. See how it just skates over, it won't cut in? That's what you're looking for. Now we'll clean it up and reheat it to a certain degree to soften it enough to be usable. Right now, the thing's just about brittle as glass. Prepped for the handle on this little trap spring knife. It's been a real challenge finding a piece of antler that was thick enough and had the right curve to match this little thing. Scales cut out. Now the important thing to remember when you're using antler is, unlike wood, which I would cut to shape and epoxy onto the handle and then you can final shape it from the outside, antler, if you want it to still look like antler, you have to remove the material from the inside and have it pretty well to shape before you put it on the knife. We're getting there. This is a really good way to knock down the high spots and level up a piece of handle material. Getting ready to mix up some epoxy and put the first half of the handle on. Make sure before you do this, you want to clean up your metal good, degrease it with something like acetone. I use turpentine because that's what I have handy. That way the epoxy will adhere a lot better. I apologize for the camera work. Right now all of my video is being done with cell phone and this tripod here from the kids' telescope. So if you'd like to see better videos, please mash the subscribe button. Maybe one of these days I can afford some better gear. Thank you. Alright, we got the first half of this epoxied on. Now we'll just have to drill through for the pins and put the next half on. We've got our handle epoxied on, ready to drill hole through the tang here into the other half, put our pins in. Alright, I decided to go with copper pins on this one. This is just a piece of heavy gauge copper wire that I've straightened out. Alright, we've got our pins all in. Now just time to file and clean everything up. Our little knife all cleaned up, handles sanded, everything ready to go except the edge. I had to do a lot of sanding and filing on this to get it to shape, so I think I'm going to stain the handle to just give it a little bit more color. Alright, just boil up a good strong batch of tea and lay your piece in there. Let it soak. Alright, here's what it looks like now that the handle's dyed and had time to dry. You can see here how the tannic acid in the tea darkens the steel. It doesn't have any effect at all on the copper. So a little bit of sanding to clean up the blade, and take some 4/0 steel wool and buff this handle out and put a couple coats of true oil on it, and we'll be ready to sharpen this thing up and use it. Well, there's our trap spring knife. Nothing fancy, but you can see it'll shave. So all ready now for trapping season this winter.